Welcome to the United States of Tiffany. Our commentary offers a humorous take on wrestling. Please note, we're not bullying or attacking the wrestlers. We're engaging with the choreographed sport and its storylines. Our jokes and observations are about the characters and storylines, not the real people behind them. Tourists and citizens alike, welcome. Enjoy the show, and remember, it's all in good fun.
Welcome to the United States of Tiffany, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw in this new format for the after show. This week has been a very rough one for me, so I am going to pre-record everything and get this out to you guys now. And I know that usually I would go live, and I'm still going to go live this week. Hopefully by Wednesday I would feel a little bit better, but today we're going to do it this way and see how it works out for me. And I promise you guys we'll be back to normal by next week, hopefully. I just wanted to give myself some time to rest, but I didn't want to skip this week on review. I wanted to make sure I did everything I was supposed to in terms of giving you guys the rundown of Monday Night Raw, because that is what I do. So let's start off with the very first beginning of the show. This gave us they gave us Judgment Day once again. If you care, I'm not gonna shit on it too much. I don't get me wrong, I'm gonna shit on it. I'm just not gonna shit on it too much because I don't feel like going through the motions anymore. But here's the deal: Judgment Day kicked off the show and basically reiterated what everybody was saying, or what a lot of people believe, is that they're not the bad guys here. The bad guys happen to be Rhea and Damian because they reneged on their jobs, on not, basically trying to take over Judgment Day or being leaders of Judgment Day. They weren't supposed to do that. In Damian's case, I can kind of understand why they felt that way. Once Damian got the title, he felt like he was at the top of the mountain in terms of the company as well as in the group. And to be fair, he was a champion and he was at the top of the mountain in terms of the men's locker room. So that's only fair for Damian. But I can kind of understand Damian and their issue with Damian taking over the group. However, I found that they were completely lost without Rhea's guidance as well. And even though Damian was there, they still weren't doing what Damian wanted them to do in terms of being able to move and worry about Judgment Day business. They weren't doing that either. So while Damian did try to be the leader and take over the group, nobody was caring about what Damian had to say or listening to him in any way, shape, or form. They interfered in his matches despite him requesting them to stay in the back. There was some level of interference from them in the first two title defenses that he ever had. And every time Damian tried to let them know he wanted to do things on their own, they made sure to insert themselves in everything that he was doing. So while I understand Finn's plot when it comes to Damian and the issue he has with him in terms of his behavior, when it comes to how he acted from before he became champion and as champion, he also has to take some personal responsibility for his behavior, which leads to me believing that it's more along the lines of Finn being jealous of Damian Priest rather than him actually being upset that Damian, was trying to take over the group. Honestly, there was no stabbing in the back from either of them. It can appear that way, but there was no stabbing in the back, especially when it comes to Rhea Ripley. I don't understand. Rhea was always about Judgment Day. Almost to her detriment was she about Judgment Day. She 100% made sure that Judgment Day was at the forefront of everything she did, and including Dominic Mysterio. She made sure he got a title. She made sure he maintained his championship. She did all of that to the detriment of her own title reign every single time. So I was very confused by the accusation that Rhea turned her back on them, because the only person that turned their back on Rhea was Dominic Mysterio. He wasn't keeping in contact with her for 3 months. That was supposed to be her man. What going on around here? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is you talking about? Nah, fam, I wasn't with that shit. And quite frankly, that pissed me off to no end, because you're trying to spin a narrative as if your actions are justified, when in all actuality you're not being real about it. If you coming at me from a real place, I can fuck with you. All you gotta do is tell the truth. The reason why I did what I did is because I ain't like the fact that you was champion over me. I deserve that title. You didn't. Plain and simple. And all you got to say, Dom, real talk, is be like, and he did say it a few weeks ago. So kudos to Dom. He was like, I was tired of walking around here being your little minion and not being treated like a man. Liv, treat me like a man. All right, cool. Bet. Do you, but don't try to make it out to be like you some fucking victim, because babes, you're not. None of y'all are victims. None of y'all are victims. And I don't care who hears me, how many times you put comments in the comment section arguing about it. None of these people in this picture are victims. Liv is not a victim. Was she a victim at one point? Yes. That is no longer the case though, babes. That is no longer the case. That is a done deal. We have moved past that. Do you understand why? Because now she has the upper hand. Victims don't have the upper hand. Victims don't have the upper hand. Victims get their just due. Victims get their penance. They get their receipt. But victims don't normally have the upper hand. Okay? So y'all can spin it however you want to. You can make it feel or change the game however you want. But the reality is Liv Morgan is not a victim. Neither is Dom, and neither is Finn Balor. And you know damn well Carlito ain't no victim, and neither is JD McDonough. All these people have willingly participated and aided and embedded in the demise of innocent people. Whether they were doing it under duress or not is irrelevant. They did the shit. All right? So, Now, what made this segment interesting was the fact that they brought in LWO. Now, this is the 85,000th time we've seen some iteration of LWO going up against Judgment Day and Dominic Mysterio feuding with his father once again. Now, in this particular match, Dominic Mysterio did end up beating his father, and his father won because his father lost because Liv interfered in the match once again. Liv Morgan is doing exactly what Rhea Ripley did. She's just doing it in a more simple way. Okay. So, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to this, I'm really tired of seeing Judgment Day going up against LWO. But what I'm really getting sick of is the same narrative with Dominic Mysterio. They're going to have to shit or get off the pot. Like, I'm real tired of seeing Dominic being led by somebody at some point, whether it's his woman or some man. Somebody's always holding his hand and walking him through something. And it's just getting to the point where it's hard to believe that this man can operate on his own 2 feet. And they got to do something. By bad blood, I want to see something different. I'm tired of seeing it. I don't want to see the biker girlfriend hanging off of the boyfriend every 2 seconds. I don't want to see that shit. Find something else to do, because it's a wrap for me. All right, let's move on. Okay, so the next thing we got was the tournament. They basically announced that Braun Breaker was having an Intercontinental Championship tournament within the next 2 weeks. The 4 competitors will be determined, and after those 2 weeks, they will have a fatal 4-way to determine who the number 1 contender is going to be for Braun Breaker's championship. Now, what we saw were 2 matches, and they were all triple threats. It was a triple threat match between Jey Uso, Karrion Kross, and Kofi Kingston. In that match, Jey Uso was able to pick up the win, and he became the first number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. Later on in the night, in that second match, it was Pete Dunne, Miz, and Xavier Woods. And Xavier almost won this match, but Pete was able to come in and steal and pick up the win. So Pete Dunne is now the second man to qualify for the fatal 4-way for the number 1 contendership. And this is the finals for the tournament. This happens in 2 weeks, which I imagine in 2 weeks we'll be into September. That's on September 9th. Excuse me, y'all. In 2 weeks. And then October 5th is Bad Blood. So I imagine the Intercontinental Championship will be defended at Bad Blood. They'll build up the storyline between Breaker and the winner for Bad Blood, I imagine. At least I hope that's what they do. Which is cool. You know, ain't nothing wrong with that. We love that for them. Any whoosies. So shout out to the two number one contenders, to Jey Uso and Pete Dunne for right now. And next week we'll have two more contenders, I guess, that will determine who will be the winner or the two competitors heading into the Fatal 4-Way on September 9th. With all that being said, loves, let's move on to the next part of the show. What was you gonna say?
Like, wait a minute, what you mean next week? They gotta have the matches on SmackDown. Then I realized, stupid United States Championship SmackDown.
Ever now, bitchalisms.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. No, they don't. They don't have to have it on there because they got their own belt, man.
Next week they can do the last on SmackDown. Wait, no, they can't. No, they cannot.
Right?
Wrong belt. My bagels.
Yeah, we was having a moment. It's okay because we all have them. Anyways, Randy Orton came out and cut a nice promo, and they had Gunther talking about his tenure as champion and how that wasn't going to end. He's over in Berlin, which he's been there for about a week, as far as I can recall. He's been there. So him and I guess Ludwig Kaiser are over there together because I expected Kaiser to attack Randy tonight, but he didn't. Randy was able to cut his promo unscathed. Now, essentially, Gunther repeated what he's always been repeating, is that his people were superior, and he's over in, Berlin, basically showing people what superior wrestling looks like and how he's not going to lose his championship. Randy's just another, stepping stone for him to solidify his greatness. That's essentially what he was saying. Now, Randall took a different approach. Randy made it very clear that while, yes, Gunther, is who he is. He said when he came into the E, he was 19 years old, and Gunther came into the E already established as a man. He hadn't had an opportunity to, get into that point of growing up in the WWE. Randy had to grow up and make mistakes, and that's the problem. Gunther was already polished and ready to go when he got here, so he doesn't understand, nor does he care he doesn't know what it's like to have to grow up in front of millions of people and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and be humbled in that particular situation.
No, we know who wanted that shit.
Ew, I guess. Anyways, y'all, so Randy cut the promo, and essentially, like I said, he was talking about his tenure of being a youth in WWE and having to learn from his mistakes and being humbled. And he says that Gunther has yet to be humbled. This is partially true. I think that at Mania, Gunther got hit hard, but he didn't really suffer anything from losing that Intercontinental Championship to Sami Zayn like he should have, And so Randy saying that he hasn't been humbled makes perfect sense to me. But Randy also said that he didn't mind being the man to put him on his ass. And he said that Gunther is a pompous asshole, and he thinks that he's somehow superior to everyone, and in all actuality he just needs to be humbled, and I don't mind being the man to do that. He also referenced the voices in his head and the fans now being the voices that he listens to, which I think that's only going to last for a little bit, because as soon as he gets ready to go after Cody, them voices are going to return. Anyways, Randy cut a very impassioned promo, and I really enjoyed listening to him talk. I like Randy. I've always liked Randy. I think that Randy now, as an adult that has grown up, has made some mistakes and failures, but has really bounced back and has matured, is an awesome person and an amazing man at that. And I just think that at this point in his life, he just really is solid, and he seems to be genuinely happy, which is a rarity for a lot of people, you know what I mean? And I'm happy for him. So I'm excited for Randy, even though I know how this is going to play out at Bash in Berlin. I am excited for Randy and this matchup between him and Gunther. I can't wait to see how it plays out. With all that being said, loves, let's get into this promo cut by Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre came out and essentially regurgitated everything that he's been regurgitating for the last 2 years. And essentially is that no one cares about him and they don't listen to him and he's always right. And at the end of the day, he's a truth teller. He tells the truth. No one listens to me and I'm always telling the truth. That's what he says. That's how he says it. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Anyways, he made it very clear that while this $5 bracelet of trash that's on his wrist, he keeps it because he knows it gets underneath CM Punk's skin. And he obviously sat in the middle of the ring, but his pants was too tight for him to sit there too long. So he had to get up. His pants didn't allow for a lot of wiggle room. He didn't want to have a Sonya moment. Or that one moment where he actually, lost his kilt and he was out there in his drawers. You remember that? You remember that shit? Funniest day of my life. Anyways, he cut this promo on CM Punk talking about how CM Punk essentially is a false prophet and that everybody who cheers and loves CM Punk is going to have to answer to him at some point because he's going to put CM Punk on his ass. He's going to kill him and whatever the case may be. This whole time, CM Punk was under the ring. And what made this so fucking funny was that this man literally live streamed the fact that he was underneath the ring. Live streamed him being under the ring. And when he came from under the ring, he put his phone on the apron and then went after the attack on Drew McIntyre. Was attacking Drew McIntyre with the strap. McIntyre got out of the ring. They sent down the security. Security was not able to best CM Punk. CM Punk was fighting the security, slapping them with the belt, and he ended up running away. Well, Drew did, unscathed somewhat, standing out there doing the stare down. Now, we all know that at Bash in Berlin that a strap match has been made for these two, and I don't think this is going to be the end. Their feud is going to go all the way to Bad Blood, and I can't wait because if it does, they need to be locked inside of Hell in a Cell, and then we'll see how this all finally comes to an end. With that being said, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are scheduled to face off at Bash in Berlin, and we'll just have to wait and see how it's going to end. I have an inkling of how it's going to end, but we need to move on. So Bronson Reed is going to be battling Braun Strowman tonight, or rather he did, excuse me. And this did turn into a true battle until it got to the end. Braun Strowman made it very clear that he was not going to allow Bronson Reed to bully him. He was not some little bitch he could just run after and take out. Oh, nay. He was like, I'm not one of your little friends, love. You're not going to bully me. But Bronson Reed wasn't trying to bully him. In fact, he was taking him on head on. Now, earlier in the night, Bronson Reed ran into Miz, and essentially what he told Miz was, look, you are the one who got I don't see how he made this logic, but he did. You're the one who got R-Truth taken out. And you are the one who sicked Braun Strowman on me. And said, because of that, when I'm done with Braun Strowman, I'm going to come back after you. So he took out Braun Strowman tonight by taking him into the parking lot, throwing him onto one of those the cars in the back, and coming off of the top of this cement slab and doing a tsunami onto Braun Strowman. Bronson Reed is 330 pounds. Braun Strowman is 385. You have to think about the weight of a man, especially at Bronson Reed's height. He's not exactly able to be well proportioned at his current weight. So with him having all his weight in his midsection, all of that came down on Braun Strowman in one spot, and that led to this gnarly spot that they had, and it ended up destroying this car, sparking it out. It was nuts. Braun Strowman was on the floor, and Bronson Reed essentially walked away as if nothing happened to him, and he was perfectly fine. Whereas Braun Strowman was complaining that he couldn't feel his fingers and that he was having a hard time breathing, and they had to get medical staff to him immediately. I'm sick of his big ass taking everybody out. He got to suffer some consequences. And this again leads to another problem that I have with Adam Pearce and his level of booking and just the booking in general. Bronson Reed should not have been able to take out Braun Strowman in that capacity. Should he have been able to beat him down and then do the tsunami? Sure. But we're talking about him taking on somebody who's got 50 to, he's got about 58 pounds on Bronson Reed and at least another foot in height. There's no fucking way he should have been able to take him down like that. I don't give a damn how big Bronson Reed is. Okay, no fucking way he should have been able to take him down like that. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't like it. It stinks, it sucks, and I'm not a fan. Not a fan. There was a couple promos being cut, more specifically vignettes. They were done by none other than the tag team champions, the women's tag team champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. And the unholy union made it very clear that they are going to expose Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill this coming Saturday at Bash in Berlin for the frauds that they are, because they feel like we're the champions. We beat you more than once. We've beaten you. And not only that, but you two seem to think that you're superior to us. And we have to tell you that you're not superior. You don't even have the fucking titles to prove that you're superior. So once we beat you at Bash in Berlin, you can go back into your little hole. Jade can go around doing her little poses, and we'll continue doing what we do best, which is dominate as the tag team champions. Wouldn't necessarily say that they've been dominating as champion, but I will say that they've had a decent heel run as tag team champions. Now, Bianca and Jade have already settled things up with them once before. This past Friday, they went up against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn and Blair Davenport on Friday Night SmackDown, and they had the addition of Naomi to reiterate their big three, and they were able to take down the tag team champions and their partner Blair Davenport in a very, very good matchup between the three of them. It was solid. For once, Blair didn't fuck up, okay? It was a good match. But that doesn't mean that on this coming Saturday, they'll be able to best the tag team champions. It just means that showing last Friday. Now, is it possible that the tag team champions could end up dropping their titles back to Jade and Bianca? It's very possible, but we'll have to wait and see until Bash in Berlin, because the match has been made and these four women will go head to head and they will determine who will continue on as the tag team champions. With all that being said, another vignette was cut by the Terror Twins. The Terror Twins made it very clear that yes, we are the bad guys and we don't mind being called the bad guys. In fact, we relish in it. We enjoy it. We live it. This is what we are here for. This is what we've been doing. And of course, Rhea Ripley had a little something to say in Espanol for everyone to hear. And from what I got to see in terms of someone translating for us on the internet, they said, and I quote, Rhea in Spanish, in the end, the devil comes for everyone. And what she said, baby. It's an interesting concept, but it's the truth. In the end, the devil does come for everyone. Everybody in Judgment Day has gotten their comeuppance, except for Finn Balor. He is the only member of Judgment Day that truly does deserve to have some comeuppance, along with Dominic Mysterio. They have not received any comeuppance. Damian Priest lost his title, and he lost his family in the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley lost her title, and she lost Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day. So everybody has been served a receipt for all of their piss poor actions and decisions, with the exception of Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor. And one can only imagine when that will happen. But I want it to happen sooner rather than later. But again, patience is key when you're dealing with, of course, our wonderful CEO, Triple H, and we'll just have to wait and see how this all is going to play out. But I will get into predictions on Wednesday. Let's move on to the last little pieces of the show. Now, they announced some matches that are supposed to be scheduled to happen next week. First match that's scheduled to happen next week is Zelina Vega and Shayna Baszler will head up. Now, this is happening because not only did PFC take out Vega a few weeks ago, Vega went and got a receipt this week when they had a matchup against Damage Control. So PFC's Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler went up against Damage Control's Io Sky and Kairi Sane. In this matchup, of course, an X factor was Sonya. And because Sonya was less vulnerable and open, Zelina Vega attacked her and took her out. This led to an opening for Damage Control to pick up the win, and PFC was suffering a major loss. With all that being said, Zelina Vega is still wanting some get back, so she has been granted a match with a member of PFC, not necessarily Sonya, but a member of PFC, and that member is going to be Shayna Baszler. Next week, the tournament for the Intercontinental Championship #1 contender is going to continue, and these two matches have been scheduled. It's a triple threat between Ilya Dragunov, Dragon Lee, and Dominic Mysterio, all former NXT champions at some point. Dragon Lee was a former North American champion, as is Dominic Mysterio. He was a two-time North American champion. And Ilya Dragunov is a former NXT champion. All three of these men bring something completely different to the table in this match, and I generally can't wait to see how this is going to play out. This match here, obviously, is a monster among men type of match. Ludwig Kaiser, I like to call him motherfucking Colossal Titan. And then you got Bronson Reed's big ass, and of course Sheamus are all going to be battling for the #1 contenders match, for the #1 contendership to go up against Braun Breaker. Now, me personally, if I had it my way, Sheamus would be the winner in this matchup. The reason why I want this to happen is because I want Sheamus to go after Braun Breaker and eventually take that title off of him and finally gain a championship that has eluded his grasp for years. He is more than deserving of it, and before this man retires, he deserves to be Intercontinental Champion. With all that being said, though, Bronson Reed's momentum and the things that he's been doing and the way that Adam Pearce books more than likely leads to him being the one to win. And nobody is voting for Ludwig Kaiser, but more than likely he probably will come in and steal it. So each man has an equal opportunity to win this match and be champion, the #1 contender for the championship, as does Ilya Dragon and Dominic Mysterio. I don't know how this is going to play out, but I am interested because these last two triple threat matches were actually really, really good. Xavier Woods put on a massive clinic in his match with Miz and Pete Dunne. And in the prior match with Jey Uso, Karrion, and Kofi, Jey Uso put on a showstopper of a match. So I'm very, very curious as to how it's going to play out and who is going to join Pete and Jey Uso in the final four. With all that being said, loves, let's get to the final match between Uncle Howdy and... All right, so during this match, Uncle Howdy came out, Chad came out, and I love American Made. The name of it is fire. It's dope. I can't stress enough how cool that name is for these two, for this new group. I feel like though they were a little late in creating American Made, they really haven't had time to really gel and be a squad. And I feel like they should have created American Made right after Otis and crew left him alone. They should have made American Made and then move forward with American Made that way. And they should have flushed out Ivy Now sooner as well. I feel like they didn't really give you enough time to enjoy American Made before the Uncle Howdy, basically beats them. And that should have been something that they really flushed out. Something that we really got to see work out was the group being a group, but then Uncle Howdy coming after the group as a whole and not just going after Chad Gable. However, they did what they did. There's nothing we can do about it now. Let's move into the rest of the show. This match itself was good. Bo Dallas has always been an amazing wrestler. He always has been. I've never taken that away from him. And Chad Gable's just a traditional ground and pound wrestler at his core. So these two going head to head, it was a fun time and it was a good match to watch. The match began to break down slowly but surely. Ivy Nile came out there, tried to cause a distraction. The distraction didn't really work. It more specifically started to break down once the referee got knocked out. And this was done by accident with Uncle Howdy and Chad Gable. Gable had Howdy in an ankle lock. He, flipped out of it so he can get Gable off of him, and Gable ended up falling into the ref, which laid him out. This led to American Made coming out there to attack Uncle Howdy and take him out, but then the rest of the Wyatt family came in tow, and they came and attacked Julius and what's his name? What is the other one's name? It's Julius and fucking
What, Julius and Julia?
No, I don't remember the other dude's name. The Brutus.
Yeah.
Brutus. Julius and Brutus came on the attack. Now, Ivy tried to jump on Rowan's back, which he was just carrying her around like that was his daughter. And he was carrying his daughter, and daddy, it was daddy. Right, daddy, I want to piggyback. That's basically what she was doing. Because she wasn't doing nothing. All that arm and pit bull and shit wasn't doing shit. It was like watching a chihuahua gnaw on a little bone, and somebody picked the bone up, and you just watching this chihuahua gnaw on it, and then they just flung the little damn bone and chihuahua across the room. That's pretty much how that went. The only difference is Rowan didn't throw her. He just kind of was walking with her on his back, and I'm sure she was as light as a Christmas ornament because he was unfazed by her weight and her arm wrapped around his neck, completely unfazed by him. They ended up drawing the Creed brothers completely out of the arena, which left Chad Gable and Uncle Howdy in the ring together. Chad Gable and Uncle Howdy went at it again. Uncle Howdy was able to catch Chad Gable, hit him with the Sister Abigail, and that was a 1-2-3. Uncle Howdy wins his very first match on the Raw brand and finally solidifies and takes out Chad Gable as he said he would. He said that it was time to clean up the riffraff, and this was not a reckoning. This was an execution, and he did do that. But I don't know if this is going to be the end. Personally, I would like to see them go at it at Bad Blood to finally solidify the fight between all of them. Let it be a 6-man tag team match, and they decide which members of the Wyatt family go at it. You can also make it so that all members of American Made go up against all members of the Wyatt family, sans Uncle Howdy, and make Uncle Howdy be an X factor that usually costs the American Made the match. You got so many different variables that can go on here. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of Monday Night Raw. And out of respects for those who have died this week, Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, one of the most scary and dominant and overtly dominant characters in wrestling, has passed away. His son posted to Facebook a message, and he said, "In memory of my father, Sid, dear friends and family, I'm deeply saddened to share that my father, Sid, has passed away after battling cancer for several years. He was a man of strength, kindness, and love, and his presence will be greatly missed. We appreciate your thoughts and prayers as we grieve his loss. Details for the memorial service will be shared soon. Thank you for your support." And he signed his name Gunner, which Gunner is Sid's son. Bash in Berlin is this Saturday, August 31st, in the Uber Arena. Okay. First match setup is going to be Cody Rhodes going against his former friend. Well, he's still his friend for now, in Kevin Owens. This match was made because Cody demanded it. He requested it. This now has led to a will he, won't he type of situation. Everybody thinks that Kevin Owens is somehow going to turn on Cody and attempt to take him out before they have their match, referencing Kevin Owens' past and how he has behaved against his friends and his foes. They've made it very clear that Kevin is not somebody to be trusted, especially when the title is on the line. Kevin has made it appear as though he is no longer that man and that things have changed. But given recent events and Kevin Owens, we all know it's impossible for Kevin to revert back to the man that he used to be. Yes, Do I think that that's going to happen? Well, I'll let you guys figure that out, and we'll work that out this coming Wednesday on live. With all that being said, the other title is also in contingency. Gunther is your current world heavyweight champion, and Randy Orton seeks to end this very short title and make it a very short title reign, not only to pad in his resume with a 15th title, but to also humble Gunther, something that he feels is needed and necessary for Gunther to progress. But not only that, but for Gunther to feel what everybody else feels is impending doom and defeat. Is it possible that Randy could do this? Yes. Do I think that he will do this? I won't answer that until Wednesday either. Moving on. This is a non-title bout. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre have been at odds for quite some time, and it's high time that they finally come to blows under different circumstances. CM Punk has requested a strap match, to which Drew McIntyre has accepted. These two will battle it out in this match, and essentially this match has rules, but the rules are you are strapped to your opponent and you have to win. Simple as that. The strap can be used as a weapon in this match because it's in the match. So we'll have to wait and see how this all is going to play out. Moving on to the women. The tag team titles are being contested by former champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They'll be going up against the Unholy Union. Both of these teams have true rights and claims to this title. To be fair, Bianca and Jade were never pinned in their triple threat match over at Clash the Castle. Yes, ain't that the name of the pay-per-view they lost to that, Clash the Castle?
I don't remember.
It was a triple threat between them and January 6th and them. It was at Clash the Castle. It was at Clash the Castle. Yeah. So we have to wait and see how that plays out. And then finally we have the big one. This is probably going to be one of the last matches of the night, if this isn't the last match of the night. This is a mixed tag team match between the Terror Twins and Liv and Dom. You already know the story behind this. The point is, these two teams are going to be going at it, and they've made it very clear that they want to tear each other apart. So we'll have to wait and see how this all is going to play out. And Bash in Berlin will start this Saturday, probably around, they're going to go live at 1 and start the show. So more than likely between 11:30 and 12 is when the kickoff will start for Bash in Berlin. I hope you guys enjoy the show, and I'll see you guys next time.